and welcome to Captain Morgan's War Games. Today's video is going to be about Warhammer 10th edition and how to play, and today's video is on the movement phase. So before we get into that, let's do the housework as usual. If you like my content, please hit the like button, press the bell button to stay up to date with my content, subscribe, share, comment. You know I like interacting with you guys, and without further ado, let's get into this video. Right, the movement phase comes after the command phase, and in this you have two stages. You have movement, then reinforcements. So part one, if you moving units unless in engagement range is within an inch of an enemy model. So that is an inch, so that's just outside an inch. But so say you're there, and so units unless in engagement range of an enemy unit, it can make a normal move. This is a distance up to its move characteristic on its data sheet. The move characteristic on the data sheet is denoted by the letter M, and it will have a number below it, and that number will be in inches. And you can't move into engagement range during the movement phases. It can also advance, it can remain stationary, or if it was in combat last round, it can fall back. So we'll go through what everything means. Remain stationary. The unit remains stationary, none of its models can be moved for the rest of the phase. That means you can't go, oh, I'll just do that and it stays stationary. That counts as having moved. They all have to stay like that. The normal move, a unit can make a move a distance in inches less than equal to its characteristic. No model can be moved within engagement range of any enemy models. So this unit has a range of 14 inches. So what I do for this, I put 14 inches there, and I can move 1 inch, 4 inches, or I can move the full 14. And I'd do that for every model in the unit, making sure I'll stay an inch away from enemy models. And that's your normal move. Now, let's for argument's sake, I want to move, and I've got this building here, and I want to get to the top of the building. I won't measure 14 inches straight in a straight line and put them up here. I have to measure 14 inches from the base to the top. So in this case that would reach me. The thing with buildings and bits now is that if your model is hanging over, base of your model is hanging over the edge, you can't have them on that building. Now this is where unit coherency changes a bit. because you might only be able to get 3 models up here, but as long as you're within just tell you exactly the ranges. It's normally 3. Unit coherency is here somewhere. I believe it is 5 inches up, 3 inches up and 5 inches up and 2 inches apart. I believe is we're in 2 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of one other model from same unit in 2 other models in a unit of 7+ models. So in this it only has to be within 1 model. So you could, in theory, have a model. I've got a sign slightly smaller to represent. So in this case, you could have a model on each of the floors like that. That would represent each of the floors, and that's still unit coherency on the building like that. If you're on the ground level, of course you've all got to be like that, within 2 inches of each other. But that covers movement for fly units over to a building. If it's a normal unit without fly, what you do is you measure the distance to the building, up the building, across the building and down. And if you've got that movement, you can get up and over building. If you haven't, so you've got 5 inch movement with this model. He starts off. He moves 4 up to here, to the top. It's an inch across, that's 5, and it's 4 down, that's 9. He's only got a 5 inch move, so I'd need a 4 on the dice. I don't get it, so all I'd be able to do is get up to here, and every model in my unit would either be on here with him or down below, depending on how you spread the unit out. Now, for terrain that's like this, you can ignore this. For infantry and certain, you can ignore this and you can just go straight over. Don't have to measure up and over. It's in a straight line. So that will tell you how far it is, and it'll come into effect as well, heights of buildings as well, for deep stroke, because you have to be more than 9 inches away horizontally from a unit. So you could be on top of this, which is 8 and a bit inches high, and have an enemy unit an inch away, and you'll be 9.5 inches away. So that covers your movement. Advanced moves. So an advanced move is extra movement on top, extra move on top of your normal move. So these move 14, and you want to advance them. These get in their current data sheet. You just add 6 to their move, so they end up moving 20. But other units you have to roll a d6, and in this case it would be a 1, and you'd add an extra inch to that movement. What you do is you get a tape measure. So in this case, as I said, they move 20 inches, or you don't have to roll the d6. So I put the 20 there. So from the front of the base of the frontmost model, and now I can move either an inch, 5, 10, 15, up to 20 inches, and that's my choice. But once I've declared it, they've advanced, and they can't shoot or charge it in turn, but you advance, unless you've got special rules or special abilities on the unit that allow them to do that. Orcs have a special army rule that allows them to move, advance and charge in the turn that they called a war. So that really covers that. And again, you can't remove within engagement range of a unit. Fallback now, something I mentioned earlier. Now, fallback is when you're in combat with an enemy unit, and you don't want to be, for whatever reason. Maybe there's an objective to the other side and you want to get to the other side, or you want to shoot at that unit with another and get rid of it with the other models. A model can make a fallback move by moving with distance in inches less or equal to its move characteristic. Very similar to everything else. And while doing so, it can move within engagement range of enemy models, provided that it doesn't end the move within engagement range of any models. If that's not possible, the enemy unit can't move. The unit can't fall back. The unit cannot shoot or charge in the turn it fell back, unless they have special rules or abilities that allow to. So in this case, you could fall back this way, you could fall back through that gap up to the distance of the units, or you can fall back over these models if, and I repeat, if you do that, if you fall back over models like that, you have to take a desperate breakout test for it. In this example, I've got five guys in the unit, and all 5 would have to move over the models. So I'd roll 5 dice. In this case, I've got 3 ones. 3 models would die. If I'd got 3, if I did it again with another unit, 2 models would die that time, and so on. A desperate breakout, you fail on the 1 and 2, as I have mentioned before, and you cannot end your move within an engagement range of your fallback move in the engagement range of an enemy model. Desperate breakout tests. Unlike when making other types of moves, models can move over enemy models when making a fallback move as if those enemy models were not there, but you must make a desperate breakout test for each model that will do so, excluding models that can fly. Before any models in that unit are moved, in addition, if a unit is battle shocked when it's selected to fall back, it must make a desperate breakout test. So you're battle shocked and you fall back, you make a battle shock test as well. if you're battle shocked, then you must make a desperate breakout test as well, or desperate escape test as it's called now. So as I said, you roll for every model in the that it has to be moved, and you roll the dice before you move the models. And for each roll of a 1 or 2, only one model from the unit falling black is destroyed. The same model can only ever trigger one desperate breakout. So for example, might be battle shocked, and I might move over. I don't have to take 2 tests. You only take 1. That covers all the movement. Now for reinforcements. Some units have a rule that allows them to start the battle in reserves or strategic reserves. Such units will arrive later in the battle are known as reserve units. Any reserve units that have not been set up on the battlefield when the battle ends counts as being destroyed. In the reinforcement steps of your movement phase, if you have any reserve units in your army, you can select one or more of them and set them up on the battlefield, one at a time. There is stipulation here, it will be turns 2 to 3. Though there isn't anything, if you read in the rules, the missions, briefings and bits and pieces, the only games you can turn up turn 1 is the combat patrol, I believe. Everything else you have to come in from turn 2. In the reinforcement steps of your movement phase, if you have any reserve units in your army, you can select one or more of them to set up on the battlefield one at a time. Once all your reserve units that you wish to set up this turn have been set up, your movement phase ends and you progress to your shooting phase. Details of how to set up your reserve units are described in the same rules that enabled the unit to be set up in reserves. These will typically specify a distance away from all enemy models. Whenever such a distance is specified, it always applies to the horizontal distance, even though normally you would measure to and from the closest part of a model's base. Reserve units always count as having made a normal move in the turn they set up on the battlefield, and so cannot move further during this phase. Otherwise, units set up in this way can act normally this turn, shoot, declare a charge, fight, etc. So, for example, most reserve rules say you can't set up. You have to set up more than 9 inches away from enemy model. So in this case, I want to set up 9 inches away from him, and more than 9 from him is there. So I'm 9 from him and I'm nearly 10 to him. So that's the closest I can get a model to any model to the 2 units. And then I set up around him, making sure that I'm still 9 inches away from each model in each unit. Now, I can do it like that, or, as I said, I know this is 4 inches up, so that's 5.5 inches away. I can set up here, because I am still more than 9 inches away from my enemy, even though I'm only 5.5. Yeah. So So 5.5 away horizontally. Hang on, let's do it 5.5 from here. So I'm 5.5. I know that distance down this ball. So I'm 9.5 inches away from that unit. Even though, as I said, I'm technically only 5.5. I still have to count the building down, the distance down, because these are fly, so my distance here would have to be 9 inches that way. If they're just normal infantry like this fella, it would be the 4 inches down, and but because these are fly, I'd have to be 9 inches away from there. So if my building, I can only do it if that building is 9 inches away, which is roughly there. So that's if for a fly unit, I have to be the diagonal distance. It has to be more than 9. For a normal unit, it's the down. If it's on the building, it's the down and across. Or if I'm on the floor, it's the dead, just over 9 inches. So 9.1, 9.2, 9.5, doesn't matter which, because as long as you're not within 9 inches. I hope that helps clarify things. And remember, thank you for watching. If you've have enjoyed, please hit the like button, press the subscribe button, and hit the bell button to stay up to date with all my content. Also feel free to share anything you've enjoyed. Remember, everybody knows the dice are loaded.